Ali Abdaal recently did a live stream with the Notion Pro building up his productivity system. You can go and watch the replay of that live stream, it's about 2 hours long, so what I thought I'd do is summarise and explain their Notion setup. Hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to stay part of the conversation. If you want to follow along and create this as you go, you can do, and it will be fully functional at the end. I am going to create this all on one page just so it's easier to see what I'm doing rather than going backwards and forwards, but they will be all separate pages at the end. So to start with, what we're going to do is create an inline table. We're going to call it task. Notion always gives you the same two columns whenever you create a table. One of them is a multi-select column and one of them is a files column. We're going to change the multi-select tags column into context, where we're going to add people that relate to the task, objects that relate to the task, and then the amount of energy related to the task. After typing all of those in, I've deleted them from that specific page, but the list is still there. Now I'm going to go into the files column and I'm going to change it from a file to a checkbox and change the name to done. This basically means when you've completed the task, you can click on the checkbox to say that it's done. I'm now going to add another column and make it a numbers column. And name that duration, so how long I think that task is going to take me. Now going to add another column, due date, which is the due date of the task that I want to get done. I'm now going to add another checkbox column, and this is going to be for priority, so if something is checked, it is high priority. If something isn't checked, it's low priority. If you do add a column in or make a mistake, you can quite simply delete any column, and nothing else will change. We're now going to go underneath the task database and create another database. So by using the / command and typing in database or table. Now we're going to name this table projects, and projects are basically things you want to get done, but there are numerous tasks that you need to do to be able to achieve it. Now we've got these same two default columns. This time we're going to change tags into a number column and call it review frequency. So this number represents how often you want to go back and review that project. Whether you want to review it every day, every 2 days, every 7 days, whatever number you put in there, that's how frequently you will review that project. And now we're going to change the files column into the last review date. This date basically represents the last time that you reviewed this project. Now we're going to add another column, but this time it's going to be a formula column. And this one's going to be labeled review date. And we're going to select the date add formula, and what this does is it takes the date that you put in, adds the number that you choose, and you can choose whether it's years, months, weeks or days. So now we've added the formula, we need to add in the date, and the date that we're going to use is the one that we've already put in the database, last review, so you can either click on the property or you can type it in manually. Then we need the number that we're going to add to that date, which is going to be the property review frequency, which we've already put in the database. Now we're going to put a comma and tell it what that number represents, whether it's years, weeks, and in this case, days. Close the bracket to finish the formula. So we've got our date, we've got our number, and we've got our text, which represents what that number is. I'm now going to add another formula column. This time we're going to call it today. And when you're in the menu, you can click Format Formula and it will take you to that formula box. And for today, all you need to do is type in now, open bracket, close bracket, and that is it. That will now show you the month, the date, the year, and the time. We're now going to add another formula column, and we're going to label this overdue. So we want the formula to tell us if we need to review it today or we should have already reviewed it. So we're going to ask it, is the last review date smaller than today? This will bring up a checkbox that you can't manually tick because it does it automatically. So if we go back to our task database and start adding in some tasks. So each of these tasks are their own page, they have their own properties, which are all the columns that you can see in the database. So whenever you open up any of these tasks as a page, you will see all of the data in this database as part of the properties at the top of the page. Like the Notion Pro in Ali's livestream, I'm not a big fan of all of those pieces of data making the rows quite thick, so when you go over to the database menu and click the three dots, you'll see the option to wrap text. When you click that, what that basically does is say, keep everything on one line. All the data is still there, it's just hidden. We're going to say we've done some of the tasks. Put in some random durations, you can pick whatever number you want. Add in some due dates. And then we're going to give some tasks some priority and other tasks we're not going to. Now we're going to create a couple of projects to link the tasks to. And the way we're going to link them is by creating relational databases. In this video I explained more about relational databases, but what it basically does is create a link between two different databases. And as you can see in the project database, it now has another column called tasks. And when we click in the task database, it shows us the different projects, so we can create links. And again, the project's database doesn't have wrap text, so we're going to change that. And those two databases are what most people call master databases. What we're now going to do is create a linked database. So we're going to go into our / command, type in link, and you'll see it in the menu. It will then give you a list of all the databases in your workspace. I have more than these two, which is why there's more than just two in that list. You can either find the database in the list by clicking on it, or you can start typing the name of the database in and it will come up. If you look at the top of the database, you'll see an arrow that basically says that it is linked, that it's not the original. So essentially what you're seeing is a mirror image of the original database. But we only want to see part of that reflection, so what we're going to do is we're going to add some filters. We only want to see high priority tasks. So we're going to filter for high priority tasks by going priority is ticked. Now all of the tasks in the task database that have the priority checkbox ticked will show, but we don't want the tasks that are done to show because we've already done them. So we're going to add another filter, done is not ticked. So now the reflection of the original database is showing us high priority tasks that have not been completed. But some of those tasks might be weeks or months into the future. So what we're going to do is add another filter and ask is the due date within the next week. So now we've got a reflection of that original database that only shows us high priority tasks that are not done that are due within the next week, which has filtered down those 5 tasks to just the one that we need to focus on. We're now going to create another linked database, this time to the projects database. So again, this is a mirror reflection but of the projects database. Even though it is a mirror reflection, you can still change the data in the original database from here. So everything you change in a linked database, which is the mirrored database, will change it in the original database. So as we're filling out some of these dates, the formulas are starting to work. You can see the review date has looked at the last review date column, which is the 17th, looked at the review frequency, which is 1, and because we told it days, it's added 1 day to the last review, giving us 18th. And it's done the same thing with project 2, but with the different numbers because they are different projects. The overdue box is ticked because today's the 15th, and the last review date is 15th. If it was 16th, it wouldn't be ticked. 17th, as you can see in project 1, it's not ticked because I don't need to review it. Now because this is a reflection of the original database, I'm going to add a filter because I don't actually want to see the projects that I don't need to review. So we're going to add a filter. Overdue is ticked. Now it's going to show me all the projects that are overdue, so I either need to review today or I needed to have reviewed previously. So if the last review date was yesterday and I didn't review it, it would be ticked. Now we're going to add another linked database and we're going to link it to the task again. So now we've got two different reflections of the original task database. But this time we're going to add a different filter because we want to see different information. So when we add the filter, we're going to go down to the project's relation and ask, is the project relation empty? This is now going to show us all of the tasks that we have that don't have a relation to a project. This means that when you have a task that you want to get done or a piece of information you want to have a look at, you can put it in your inbox, which is what this database view is, not link it to a project, and it will stay there. So if we add in another task to this reflection of the original task database, and we know exactly what project that's related to, we can push the relation and it will disappear from this view. Now you could leave the setup just like that, but you don't really need to be able to see those two master databases all of the time, because they will get really big and start filling up a lot of your page. So what you can do is you can bring up the sidebar menu if you haven't made it smaller, and then click and drag on the database into the sidebar. Now what I've done is I've moved that database to its own page, still with all the same information, and will still link to all of these reflections. But it means now I can use this as a dashboard with reflections of those master databases. This isn't the setup that I use, and you can chop and change it as you want, but this is the one that they showed on the live stream, so I thought I'd recreate it for you. Don't forget to watch this video for more productivity tips, tricks, and tools. I'll see you there.